Once upon a time, in a small village in the heart of the Himalayas, there lived a young boy named Sujan. Sujan was a kind-hearted and curious boy who loved to explore the world around him. One day, as he was wandering through the forest, he came across a beautiful lotus pond. The pond was surrounded by tall trees and lush vegetation, and the water was crystal clear. Sujan was enchanted by the peacefulness of the pond and decided to sit down and enjoy its beauty. As he sat there, he noticed a group of frogs jumping in and out of the water. The frogs were playing a game, trying to see who could jump the furthest. Sujan watched them for a while, amused by their antics. Suddenly, one of the frogs jumped too far and landed on a rock. Sujan could see that the frog was in pain and struggling to move. Without hesitation, Sujan scooped up the injured frog and cradled it in his hands. He could feel its tiny heart beating rapidly and could see the fear in its eyes. Sujan knew that he needed to help the frog, so he decided to take it back to his village to see if anyone could heal it. As Sujan was walking back to the village, he realized that the frog was no longer struggling. In fact, it seemed to be at peace, as if it had accepted its fate. Sujan was struck by the frog's calmness and wondered how it was possible for such a small creature to be so accepting of its situation. When Sujan arrived in the village, he asked the local healer if he could help the frog. The healer examined the frog and told Sujan that there was nothing he could do. The frog's injuries were too severe and it would not survive. Sujan was saddened by the news, but also amazed by the frog's acceptance of its fate. He realized that the frog was at peace because it understood the impermanence of life. Everything in life is subject to change and nothing lasts forever. Inspired by the frog's wisdom, Sujan began to explore the teachings of Buddha. He learned about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, and he began to practice meditation to cultivate inner peace and acceptance. Over time, Sujan became known throughout the village as a wise and compassionate young man. People would often come to him for advice, and he would always listen patiently and offer words of comfort and wisdom. One day, an old woman came to Sujan and told him that he was dying. She was scared and anxious, and she didn't know what to do. Sujan sat with the old woman and listened to her fears. Then he reminded her of the frog's wisdom and the impermanence of life. He told her that death is a natural part of life and that everything that has a beginning must also have an end. He reminded her that she had lived a long and beautiful life, filled with love and joy, and that she would always be remembered by those who loved her. The old woman listened to Sujan's words and felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that he was right, and that death was not something to be feared, but rather embraced as a natural part of the cycle of life. In the end, the old woman passed away peacefully, surrounded by her family and loved ones. Sujan continued to spread the teachings of Buddha throughout the village, inspiring others to find peace and acceptance in the face of life challenges. And so, the legend of the Lotus Pond became a source of inspiration and comfort for the people of the village. They would often come to the pond to meditate and reflect on the impermanence of life and the importance of finding inner peace. Years went by, and Sujan grew old. He knew that his time was coming to an end, and he was at peace with that. He had lived a full and meaningful life, dedicated to spreading the teachings of Buddha and helping others find peace and happiness. On his last day, Sujan decided to visit the Lotus Pond one last time. He sat down by the water's edge and closed his eyes, feeling the sun's warm rays on his face and the gentle breeze rustling through the trees. As he sat there, he heard the soft croaking of the frogs and gentle lapping of the water against the shore. He felt a sense of peace and contentment wash over him, knowing that he had lived a good life and had touched the lives of so many. And then, as the sun began to set behind the mountains, Sujan took his last breath and passed away. His body returned to the earth and his spirit was set free, joining the external cycle of life and death. The people of the village mourned the loss of Sujan, but were comforted by the knowledge that he had found inner peace and had left behind a legacy of wisdom and compassion. And the Lotus Pond remained a place of inspiration and tranquility, reminding all who visited it of the impermanence of life and the importance of finding peace within oneself. Thanks for watching.